Ravens moved to 9-3. I guess they're technically the number 1 seed. They've played more games, but they hit into their bye here with a 9-3 record. Chargers fall to 4-7. Chargers had an opportunity to come back. I feel like the fourth down, gotta have it plays for the Chargers this season. It's just like, oh, look, we forgot to block somebody. We've got no chance. And so they had no chance. Ravens were running out the clock. The end around to Zay Flowers goes 37 yards to put him up 2 scores. Some people would say he should have gone down. Fantasy owners would say, no, give me the points. But that was what put them up 2 scores.
Yeah.
For the cover, by the way.
It was.
Oh, do you know Harry? I mean, we can also talk about Linfield shut out North Reading.
Yeah.
So you got
I win that one.
You got that game.
Man City and Liverpool drew, so neither of us get a win.
So we both
there.
lose.
Yeah.
But where's the Harry had like 12 wins this week.
Great.
He was like 12-3 so far.
So we're just getting wrecked by your child, is what you're telling us.
He had a good week. I mean, this was like he had a really good week. He was very excited. He has picks printed out. He's like, Daddy, why did you guys pick that team? You're stupid.
Yeah.
And he picked the right team. We had the right, a couple times.
Excellent.
So anyway, let's talk about Sunday Night Football.
Okay.
How many turnovers did the Chargers have? 4?
So this game started off with the Chargers getting hosed by the officials a couple of times. They missed that late hit on – how can you even say they missed it? They didn't call a late hit on Justin Herbert out of bounds when Geno Stone cracks him, despite him being clearly out of bounds. I do think that the NFL seems to be relaxing those late hits out of bounds. There's been a lot of calls this year where you're like, I mean, that gets called in previous seasons. And now
that's another one. That's another one where the quarterback is trying to draw that, right? The idea of calling a late hit and in calling roughing the passer is to protect the quarterback. And quarterbacks are like, let me get every inch I can and make it look like I'm on the field, but I'm really off the field. They're trying to draw those penalties. I'm not saying Herbert in this situation. I'm just saying quarterbacks generally are trying to exploit that rule just like they're trying to slide late, and that's obnoxious. Carry on.
Anytime they have been not calling these late hits out of bounds, the rules analyst on each broadcast has been in pains to sort of draw it up and be like, well, technically this foot hasn't come down yet, so he's not actually out of the field of play, and this is still legit if the hit, like, it's like they have a company line, you know what I mean? So it feels like this has been one of these sort of points of emphasis in a quiet room somewhere.
Yeah.
This one I don't think fits that category because it was definitively he was out of bounds and it was a late hit. They didn't call it. They missed a really bad fair catch interference thing as well. That's like 30 yards of penalties that both went Baltimore's way in the first quarter that the Chargers didn't get. But outside of that, I mean, the Chargers weren't making enough plays. The Ravens were. Kyle Hamilton was making some insane plays. Anytime the Chargers are trying to do anything, wide receiver screeny or like a sweep behind the line that involves those perimeter players blocking, Hamilton wasn't just shutting it down. He was beating a block to then shut it down.
Yeah.
Like he was beating the screen blocker to then kill the guy in the backfield. Just incredible plays by him.
Tirico and the broadcast did a good job of highlighting what Kyle Hamilton was doing, because on one play he'd blow up a screen, on the next play he'd be running with Jalen Guyton, who's pretty fast. We'd be running with receivers down the field out of the slot. A lot of times when we say this guy is going to play in the slot, we talk about the dudes who are 5'9", 5'10", shiftier. Well, Hamilton's 6'4", rangy. He's got good zone range. He's good against screens, and he can man up against tight ends. He can man up against slot receivers. He's an awesome blitzer as well, in part because of the range and the length and everything. So love the way the Ravens are using Kyle Hamilton. He's playing real well this year. But he ran a 4.6 40, so the NFL dropped him in the draft. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, I mean, he is playing spectacularly right now, and it is worth remembering that before, the 4.6 40 and everything, we were asking the question of, is he so good at safety that you change the rules of how high you draft that guy? Like, should he be the number 3 overall pick?
I also thought because of the way he plays free safety, that's where he was going to be.
Right.
That's the other thing that's interesting to me is a guy like Hamilton, who I would probably just make into a center field free safety, or guy that plays deep, plays a Marcus Williams role in this defense. the Ravens said, no, we're going to do it differently and, have success with it. So, I mean, Hamilton can move around, but he could also just play free safety and be really good as well, I think. So,
yeah, he's playing amazingly right now.
What are you laughing at?
Nothing. I mean, he was a big part of that win. Justin Tucker short field goal with like 2.5 minutes left. That's not supposed to happen.
It's another interesting one. The late Eric Eager always would talk about, once a weekend he tweets out his article, never kick a field goal to go up 6. And, for Harbaugh and the Ravens, who make a lot of good decisions overall, they opted to kick the field. They gave up a 4th and 1 to kick a field goal. What was it, 43? 40-something? What'd you say it was?
I didn't, but it was reasonably short.
Yeah, I mean, even you're expecting Justin Tucker to hit it.
Correct.
The decision, though, is do you actually want to go up 6 with about 2-something left? Because when you give the offense a chance, when you give the ball to the offense, if they know they're going to score a touchdown, you're immediately giving them 25% more downs once they get into field goal range. 44-yarder by Justin Tucker. So that's part of the decision. Plus, you're the Ravens, and picking up 4th and 1 when you have Lamar Jackson as your quarterback. We saw that when they were running out the clock. They did a great job running out the clock at the end of the game. Lamar with 2 carries. Then they get Zay on the edge, and he takes it 37 for a score. You have these built-in advantages running the ball on 4th and 1. So they tried to go up 6, missed it. They were still up only 3. I mean, they still won it, obviously, and shut down the Chargers' comeback attempt. But kind of a risky decision trying to kick a field goal and hashtag taking the points.
Yeah. The chat is perturbed that you said Eric died. Just
Eric Eager is alive.
And well,
doing great.
We refer to anybody that left PFF.
If you use the context, so the context of what I said the late Eric Eager tweets this thing every weekend. So the context there is he's still alive and able to tweet.
Well, you could just be bad at English. And
we always say the late. He's late of PFF. I
understand that, but evidently the chat didn't.
Oh, if you're new to the chat, anybody who's left PFF, of which there's a bunch in the last year, Mike Renner and Austin Gale and Eric Eager.
Brian Linehan in the chat brings up an interesting double standard. Why do we not refer to PFF Bobby as the late Bobby Slowick?
I think if you move on to the NFL, it's promotion. If you take a lateral move to other companies like The Ringer,
got it,
or Spotify, lateral move like that, you're dead.
Okay.
If you move up to the NFL, like Bobby and Zach, it's like, oh, look at those guys.
Right.
They're on their way
so
to
the
NFL
coach. Is the only suitable.
That's correct.
It's the only way you avoid death after leaving the building.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Anything else here?
So, what do you make of the Justin Herbert situation generally? Because he's had this weird season where he's been let down by other people quite a lot. He's also not played at the level you would have wanted or expected Justin Herbert to play at. So, like his numbers in this game are going to be pretty atrocious, right? 5.1 yards per attempt, whatever that is, pass rating of like 76. And people are all being like,
a Hail Mary interception.
Justin Herbert's not good.
Yeah, I don't care what people say.
No.
I mean, I think...
Okay. And they scored 10 points. I mean, that's the other element here.
Yeah. There's definitely this element of I would rather see Herbert play better in those crunch time situations overall. I also look at the playmaker situation. And I don't want to do this. Like, I'm not a huge Zay Flowers fan, but I get it, right? Like, I get Zay Flowers, especially in this Ravens offense, especially in a Chiefs offense. And I would get Zay Flowers adding some level of speed and big playability for this Chargers offense. But they chose Quentin Johnston, right? And they relied upon Mike Williams coming into the season, who gets hurt a lot. And so Keenan Allen is awesome, and he's great. He has 14 catches at about 7.5 a pop because they keep throwing him bubbles. And they just don't have enough playmakers here to throw the ball down the field. Like, if you're going to maximize Herbert, and I thought, like, on paper, it's like, okay, if Mike Williams stays healthy, I could see how it might work. But once you lose Mike Williams and all of a sudden it's Keenan Allen, as an extended run game, who's going to have success there? I don't think anybody's going to have success there. So, yeah, I mean, the Chargers, they're just off right now, man. The defense played well in this game. Their defense played well. Of all the games overall they played pretty well.
Yeah, outside of a couple of plays.
Yeah, I mean there was a few bad plays in there, of course. Whatever you want to say about the 37-yard, but they should have only given up 13 points realistically. Zay Flowers was wide open for a touchdown. He had the 37-yard run, but the defense relative to what they'd played the rest of the year was pretty good, and the offense let them down. But it's a very good Ravens defense, and I don't like the pass game situation, what they have to throw to.
The Ravens are allowing like a historically good or historically low yards per pass play rate this season. Like their pass defense has been insane.
Yeah.
It's one of the best ever.
I'll tell you,
just this season.
It's really weird. Let's wrap it up with this. We've gotten Chiefs, Bills every year, and a couple playoff games. We've gotten Chiefs, Bengals. We haven't seen the Chiefs, Ravens play in like 3 years now, right? When was the last time they played? 2021, maybe? Sometime early in 2021.
They finally got over the hump after like years of being like, this is the offense that should beat the Chiefs.
We haven't seen Ravens, Chiefs in the playoffs, and we haven't seen it in the regular season in quite a while. That's going to be an interesting, potential AFC championship, divisional, wherever it ends up landing. That's going to be an interesting matchup because this Ravens defense going up against the Chiefs, the way the Chiefs defense is playing, the fact that the Ravens, their offense has, downhill attack, change of pace, speed, Lamar, pass game options now. Still losing Mark Andrews, I think, is going to hurt, but that's going to be an interesting matchup if we get there.
Yeah.
Ravens move to 9-3.
But Isaiah Likely had a nice game. It's going to be a different role as a tight end in that offense, but Isaiah Likely, I think, showed that he can be a big part of it as well. Odell Beckham told the broadcast that he was dealing with, he termed it the worst sprain that you can have in his shoulder. Remember, he left the game last week almost exactly the same time as Mark Andrews goes down. OBJ starts showing like he can be a guy again. He then gets this shoulder injury. He told Sunday Night Football that it was the worst sprain you can get. Now, if that means it's a grade 3 sprain, that's like a pretty catastrophic shoulder injury for a guy that seems to be wanting to go out there and try and play through it all the way through the year and like didn't back up that game with another big game. Like maybe that could be a real problem, but Likely showed that he can make plays. So the Ravens pass defense right now is giving up 5.5 yards per attempt. The 49ers are the second best pass defense in the NFL, and they're giving up 6.2. And like the gap between, that's the biggest gap anywhere down the line, right, is first to second. Second to third is 0.1 yards. Third to fourth is 0.01 yards. Like, those guys are all tightly bunched, and then there's a giant gap to the Ravens, who are giving up a historically low pass yards per attempt figure this year.
Yeah, they've been impressive, and they were again on Sunday Night Football. 9-3 Ravens, Chargers. It's getting rough for them. 4-7, but they got New England next week, so favored by about a touchdown or so.